Hey everybody, it's Chris. Welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to code the HTML5 canvas piece called Star Shower. Now, I coded this canvas piece about 2 years ago, and it seems to be doing really well from like a receptive standpoint. I've had tons of people ask me, how did you code this thing? Can you please show me how? So finally, I've decided to take it upon myself to really get into the nitty-gritty, show you guys all the concepts you'll need to know in order to create a canvas piece just like Star Shower. Now, before I begin, I will say this is going to be a multi-series course just because I just tried to do the whole tutorial in one go, and it took me about 2 hours, and that's a long time to sit through all this code stuff. So it's going to be better if I segment things up a little bit and do their own individual modules. That way you can kind of dive into individual sections. You won't get confused. You don't have to scrub through the video to find exactly where it is you want to go to. So it will be a multi-series tutorial, and I will be releasing periodically throughout the next 2 to 3 days. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. So this is the canvas piece in question. As you can see here, we have stars falling from the sky. Once they hit the bottom near the floor, they explode into bunches of different pieces, and it's all dynamic. It's all randomly generated. The places these stars fall from, how they hit the floor. Let me go ahead and refresh it. The stars in the background seem to be a little wonky at the moment. But yeah, everything here is randomly generated, including the stars in the background. So each time I refresh the page, these are going to change different positions, and yeah, just everything is super random to the point where, hey, this is an interesting piece, something you don't normally see. I love the randomness associated with it. So this is what we're going to be coding. And this first episode, I'm going to go through a little bit of setup because I want to make sure that this is the most easy to understand tutorial even for the complete beginner, and that really includes initial setup such as downloading a canvas boilerplate using something like Git and a terminal. And those might be a few things that are kind of confusing, a little I guess intimidating to a new coder, so I am going to spend some time going through that process. Now, if you've already gone through the other canvas videos and you're a little more seasoned, a little more skilled, and you know how to install the canvas boilerplate that we're going to be using, feel free to skip over this episode and go directly on to the next one. The next one, I'll get into things such as how to begin coding these stars falling from the sky and making the explosion effects and so forth. But for this episode, let's just go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and create an easy to set up project that just creates a blank canvas boilerplate so that we can create something like we see right here on the canvas. All right, so we know we need to create this, but how do we get set up? Well, to get set up, like I was mentioning, we want to use some sort of boilerplate. So I created a canvas boilerplate a while back, and this is something that includes all these files that I typically use within any canvas creation, and it also allows you to do things such as refresh your page automatically whenever you make a change to one of your code files, and also make use of ES6, which is an enhanced version of JavaScript essentially. But to install this for a new beginner, it might be a little confusing because you do have to run some terminal commands right here. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get started with this. You're going to want to visit this URL. This is the Canvas Boilerplate Git repo, and you can visit this by clicking the link in the description of this video. And you're going to want to go to this clone button right here. This is going to provide a URL that references all of these files that you see right here. So essentially, we're going to be duplicating these files and we're going to be storing them directly within our computer. So once we go ahead and copy this URL, you can also click this button to copy it. We want to go ahead and open up our terminal app. So every computer, Windows and Mac, comes with some sort of terminal. Mac, it's really simple. You just search for terminal within your Finder and you're going to get this. Windows, I've had a few people tell me they have trouble running these same commands on Windows, and I've looked into it a little bit. You're going to want to look into installing some sort of Unix shell within your Windows computer. So do a little bit of Google research, see how you can install that Unix shell, and it's going to kind of give you the same interface, the same command lines you're seeing right here, because this whole Mac terminal is running off of Unix, if I have that correct, I think. All right. So once we're in terminal, we're going to want to go to a directory which we can clone this project into. We want to duplicate the project contents right here, clone them into a directory that we can basically work on this project for. So if you're new to terminal, terminal is basically a one-on-one representation of what you see within Finder right here. So right now I'm in my home directory, and if I go into Christopher List, this is exactly, this little tilde represents the exact file contents as you see right here. So if I go ahead and do ls-la, which stands for list all essentially, we look at the top, we're going to see a lot of the same folder directories that you see over here on the left-hand side. So you've got Adobe, Android. It's just basically a one-on-one representation, but the reason we use terminal is because we can run commands like this, git clone, and it does make things a bit faster than if you were to constantly use a GUI interface like this. So I'm going to cd into, let's go ahead and make a directory first. So to make a directory, just make a folder like you see over here. We're going to take mkdir, and this directory is going to be called star, I don't know. Let's just go, actually, scrap this all together. Let's just go ahead and get these contents copy and pasted into a directory called Star Shower. So what we want to type is git clone, and then that URL that we had right here. So make sure you copy it, paste the URL, and then you want to specify a directory name. What directory should the contents of this folder be pasted into? And we want to be pasted into a directory called Star Shower. And when you run that, Git is going to run and copy all the contents, and then we can cd, which means change directory. We're going to explore the contents of a directory called Star Shower. We hit enter, list it out, and we have the exact contents that we see within our Git repo. How cool is that? Amazing. All right. But one thing to note here is if your Git command did not work, you need to make sure that you install Git on your computer. So just do a quick Google search for how to install Git on my computer. You might have to either download some kind of package or run some sort of terminal command. There should be detailed instructions on how to do it. But nevertheless, that's kind of the basics behind cloning a repo so that we can work on it. And this Canvas repo is going to be great for creating that Star Shower piece. But we're not done just yet. If you look within the GitHub repo right here, there are a few steps that we need to do in order to make sure we can make use of all those nice little features such as the automatic page reloading and also ES6 within our JavaScript. So we've cloned the repo, but now we want to install our dependencies. So if we go back to our terminal, we need to make sure that we are inside the Star Shower directory that we just created. And we can install our dependencies by typing either yarn or npm install. But the thing is, you need to make sure that you either have a node installed. If you have Node installed, run npm install, it'll work automatically, or Yarn installed. And Yarn is another package manager that I personally prefer. I think it's a little bit faster. I kind of like the emojis on here too, because I'm super lame like that. Not lame. Emojis are fucking cool. But yeah, either one, Yarn or npm install, it's going to install all these things called dependencies. And these are external packages that people have created required for certain things to work, such as that automatic page refreshing and ES6 compilation to the browser. So that's the whole point of us installing these right now. Make sure you either have Node or Yarn installed, and you'll be able to run these commands. Finally, we need to make sure that we are running Webpack. And to run Webpack, we are going to type npm start, and that is going to run all the commands we need to know. And Webpack is something that's going to help manage the page refreshing ES6 compilation. We just need to make sure we're running it. As soon as it runs, it's going to start up a server and open up a URL in whatever browser you typically use. So if we look at our browser now, we have a canvas as noted by this little HTML canvas boilerplate text that is following our mouse. And we can go ahead and open up the contents of our Star Shower directory. So I'm going to use a quick command to open up the contents of this in Sublime Text. You probably don't have this command. I created it custom. So for you to open up Star Shower, it's going to be within your home directory, and then you just have to scroll on down until you find Star Shower right here, and you can just open it up in whatever text editor you prefer to use. So let's go ahead and explore the contents of this before we move on to actually coding that Star Shower piece. So the main thing we want to look at is within this source directory, and specifically canvas.js. So this includes all of the code that we need in order to affect our canvas piece. And a lot of the stuff that comes here by default is just going to, it's just a lot of stuff that we commonly use throughout different canvas pieces. So why write this all from scratch when a lot of this we're just going to use, we know we're going to use it right off the bat. But looking at this, and looking at Star Shower over here, just this right here, there are a few things within this we are not going to need that we can actually get rid of. So looking at the canvas piece, there's not actually any mouse movement right here. And actually, I know this is just set up, so I'm going to save this, removing different parts of this for the next episode, just so the people who want to skip over this portion, the setup, can hop right in. But let me go ahead and explain this a little further. We also have a utils.js file. These are just utility functions that we want to use a lot within canvas pieces, such as returning a random color from an array, returning a random integer from a specific range, and also getting the distance between two points. These are all things that we use very commonly, so that's why we're including these right here. And you can see we're importing all these functions into canvas.js so we can make use of them if needed. Finally, we have an index.html file. This is literally just a canvas HTML object, and if we inspect this, you can see it's being referenced right here, and it's taking up the entire width and height of the screen as we specify at the top of this boilerplate. So we're going to be explaining this boilerplate more and more throughout the series, and we're going to be adding stuff, deleting stuff from here. But yeah, this is pretty much all you really need to know to get set up with Webpack, get set up with the Canvas boilerplate, so that we can start creating cool things such as what we see in Star Shower over here. All right, so I hope that made sense. I hope you guys didn't have too much trouble with that, installing all that necessary stuff, but I promise it's going to be really cool. The whole reason we're making use of boilerplate is for all this code and to make use of ES6 features such as consts, lets, arrow functions like you see right here, just things that are really going to make our code cleaner and more maintainable later on. And in addition, something you'll see as we start coding this is the page is going to refresh over here whenever we save this file, which is also a really nice benefit that we have. So that takes care of setup. Let's go ahead and jump into the next video where we will be taking care of, we're going to be coding the initial starfall from the very top. That's probably the most important piece, what people care most about. So that's going to be the very first thing that we take care of. So look forward to seeing you in the next video. Let's get started.